Hey guys! Well, it's good to see you again. Well, see you. I enjoyed our Zoom meetings this morning and wanted to let you know that if you aren't able to join us on Zoom this morning, then you can join us on Thursday. We'll be meeting again Thursday. First period is at 10 a.m. Fourth period is at 10:30, and fifth period is at 11. If you guys have another conflict with that, if you can shoot me a remind message and we can get you in another class period, that'd be great. So that way you're able to be with us in our discussion. Our discussion today was very brief and just kind of a check-in because the work so far hasn't been too complex. But we're just going to be adding more steps as we go along, so we might be taking more time to go through some actual problems. So it's really important that you guys stay on track. I need you to be able to have done at least this lesson, if not 9.4 or the one tomorrow, by the time we talk, so that we can talk about 9.1 through 9.3, because what's going to happen is on Friday, you guys have a quiz. So that's going to be something you're going to want to make sure you are here on Thursday for that discussion to make sure you're clear on what to prepare for before your quiz Friday. So I know you already have the quiz. You can look at the quiz and figure it out on your own, but I'm going to try to help you and give you some tips along the way. Alright, so let's go ahead and get down to the nitty-gritty. So we have 9.3 today is called Picture This, and the reason we're calling it that is because you're going to be looking at we're going to be actually drawing the parabolas, and we're going to be picturing what those the line of symmetry is, and then what the zeros are, so we can see where the x coordinates, the x, where they cross the x-axis are, okay? Alright, so the first thing we do is we just solve the quadrilateral. That's our first thing. And then step 2, which the 2 got rubbed off there, is to find your line of symmetry in your vertex. So, just to review, to solve the quadrilateral, we have to set it equal to 0, factor, and then separate and solve. So you always get something, y is 0 and x is whatever you get for x. Okay, so you get a coordinate point. So let's do that right now. We have x squared minus 2x minus 8. We set that equal to 0. So now we can factor this trinomial. So we have negative 8. We have to say, what are factors of negative 8 that can equal negative 2? So we have 4 and 2, negative 4 and 2. Yes, that will work, because if you add them together, they equal negative 2. So we're going to go with x minus 4 and x plus 2. Okay? So hopefully you're there with me there on that step. My dog is wanting me to pick her up. She's always like to be up in whatever we're doing. So you can see her. She's upside down. No, Snuggles. Okay. Her name's Snuggles. Yes, I did not name her. Okay. Anyways, we factored it. Now we're going to set each part equal to 0 and solve for x. So we get a positive 4 here, and then a negative 2 here. So now we know that this 4, 0 is going to be one x-intercept, and negative 2, 0 is going to be the other x-intercept. So we're going to plot that. 4, 0 would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Negative 2, 0 is right here. So that's where it crosses the x-axis. Those are those x points. Learned that last night. So it looks like this. Okay. and then we have to find the line of symmetry. So the way we find the LOS, or the line of symmetry, is we add our x values and then divide by 2. I can hear my 5-year-old is crying because he can't find me. But I'm working right now, so you're going to have to work. You're going to have to wait. Okay, so let's do that with this first one. We had a 4 and a negative 2. So we're going to say 4 plus negative 2, a 4 and a negative 2, and we're going to divide by 2. Alright, so 4 plus negative 2 is 2. And divide by 2 is 1. So your line of symmetry is 1. And that, yep, that's good, right here. Right here at 1. That splits that parabola right in half. So your LOS is x equals 1. Alright, let's skip to number 4. Okay, so number 1 is to solve the quadrilateral is that it equal to 0. Factor it. This is a difference of squares. So we have x minus 2, x plus 2, and we can set those equal to 0, separate and solve it. So we're going to end up with 1 that is 2, 0, and then 1 that is negative 2, 0. So now we can do that. We can put the dots around our graph. 2, 0 would be right here. That's one x-intercept. And negative 2, 0 is right here. Alright, so I'm going to draw my parabola. You can already see where our line of symmetry is. It should be 0, but let's check it out here. 2 minus, or plus negative 2 divided by 2. Okay, so you just have to find the midpoint. The reason why we're doing that, divided by 2, is you have to find halfway between your x-intercept. So halfway is divided by 2. So 2 plus a negative 2 is 0 divided by 2, and it's, so your LOS is x equals 0. Yep, right there. Sure is. It's your line of symmetry. Okay? Alright, let's go to the next page, and let's do number 6. Okay, so now we're on number 6, and it says x squared plus 3x plus 5, okay? So normally we would set that equal to 0, and then we would factor it. But there's really nothing that we can use as a, you can't factor it, because there's no factors of 5 besides 5 and 1, and none of those are going to equal a 3. So you cannot factor it. Okay, so we have to go about this in a different way. We have to get, there are still some we still have to figure out here what we're doing here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to rewrite this. Y equals x squared plus 3x plus 5. Okay. If we had our calculators, we could go in and put this into y equals, and we could go to our table, and we could figure out what our x and our y's are at certain points, right? But we don't, but we can still do it by hand. Okay, so let's just start with 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. So what we're going to have to do is put a 0 in for everywhere we see an x. So y equals 0 squared plus 0 plus 5. I'm just subbing a 0 in for x there. So our y is 5. Okay. On the second one is y equals negative 1 squared, which is just positive 1, plus 3 times negative 1, negative 3. So that's a negative 2. Wait, did I do that right? Ah, plus 5. I forgot that part. So 1 plus a negative 3 plus 5 is going to give me a 3. My y value. Alright, so let's sub in a negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6 plus 5. So you get 4 minus 6 is negative 2. And then plus 5 is a 3. Okay? And then negative 3, I'm going to do that over here. Y equals negative 3 squared, which is 9. Plus a 3 times negative 3, which is negative 9. Plus 5. So it ends up being 5. Because those cancel. Alright, so let's just plot those points. 0, 5. 0, 5 would be... 0, 5 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Negative 1 and 3 would be negative 1, 3. And negative 2 would be 3 again. And then negative 3 would be 5. So you can see the parabola. Oh. Kind of crazy. Okay, so we have our line of symmetry is going to be here. So our LOS is negative 1.5. Okay. Okay, well that was a tricky one. And let's do number 8. X squared plus 4 equals 4x. So right now it's not in... Everything's not on the correct side of the equal sign, so we've got to move this 4 over. So we end up with x squared plus 4 minus 4x. Well, normally we don't write it in that way. We do x squared, then the x term, then the 4. So let's just rewrite that. We're just going to rewrite that over here. X squared minus 4x plus 4. Okay. So now... you have what factors of 4 could equal a negative 4? 2 and negative 2 and negative 2, right? Because multiply together, that's positive 4. Okay. So then we would get our x would be 2, and our x would be 2. So it crosses at 2, 0, right here, and 2, 0. So what that's telling us is that there's not two different points where it crosses. So this has got to be the vertex. It doesn't go any lower. So that's the only place it ever meets. It's just got to be the tip of the parabola. So that's got to be the vertex because there's only one. They're the same point. Okay. So now we can still do our line of symmetry here. Would be this right here. So 2 minus 2 divided by 2. No, we don't have to do that because we can already see where it is. It's going to be right here, which is that your line of symmetry is going to be x equals 2.
Somebody open it.
Okay, that one was a little tricky. So that we only did that when we had only one x value where it crossed. It didn't cross over the x-axis twice. And up here, the only reason we did this chart thing, the table, is because we couldn't factor it. All right, let's look at the homework. We got a few that are tricky for you. Do those with you. Let's do number 3. It's not tricky, but difference of squares. They're both squared terms. So x plus 11, x minus 11. So you get negative 11 is your x. And then x equals positive 11 over here. So what that means is that the places it's going to cross the x-axis are going to be 11 and 11. and you're not graphing this, okay, but you can still figure out the line of symmetry, okay, is going to be, remember, it's your two x values, you add them together, and divide by 2. So that's going to be 0 divided by 2, which is 0. So that is your line of symmetry, x equals 0. Alright? Look at 6. You can't, this is not a trinomial, so you can't factor it that way. It's not difference of squares. So we could pull out a GCF here. There's a 7 involved here and an x that we're going to pull out. So it's going to leave us with a 2x minus 1. And then remember, you set that equal to 0. 7x equals 0. So it's going to be x equals 0. Okay. And then 2x minus 1 equals 0. Have a friend that's trying to help. Paxton, stop, please. When you move the 1 over, you get 1 divided by 2, so it's 1/2. Alright, so then we could take our line of symmetry, and we do 0 plus 1/2 divided by 2. So 1/2, when you take 1/2 and divide that into two parts, you get 1/4. So your x equals 1/4 is your line of symmetry. Okay? Alright. Let's look at the one on the back. You guys should be able to do the rest on the front. If you have questions, let me know. A rectangle has a length of x plus 4, and the area is x squared plus 5x plus 4. Well, I'm going to write that down. Area equals x squared plus 5x plus 4. What expression would represent the width? So we know area equals length times width. So we're trying to figure out the width. So what we need to do is figure out how do we get the width? We know the length is x plus 4. So to get the width, we're going to have to, the width is the area divided by the length. So we're going to have to take this and divide it by this. Oh, wait. Yeah. Okay, so instead of doing this, because this is that long division that we did that one time that was real fun, and we were all like, what? Okay, let me show you something we could do. Since we know that when we factor this, it becomes a binomial. So area is this length, right, times the width. So this is going to be one binomial pair when you factor it. If that's 1, then we could probably figure out what the other one is going to be. What would you have, how could you factor 4 to get 5x? Like, what factors of 4 would equal 5x? It will be x plus 4 and x plus 1. So if this is your length, then this has to be your width, right? So your width is x plus 1. I just didn't want, I can't, right. I didn't want you guys to try to do the whole like long division thing. You just think about it as conceptually. Okay. Okay. Alright, what I want you to do is I want you to do your best on the homework. Let me know if you have questions on Remind, or circle them and show them when we do our talk on Thursday. Do not be embarrassed to ask questions in front of the class. You guys aren't embarrassed in class, so don't be embarrassed on Zoom. It's going to help everybody. So that's what I want you to come with, is come with some questions. And let's just make sure you're really clear, because like I said, on Friday, you're going to be having a quiz over 9.1 through 9.3. So Monday through Wednesday's lesson. Tomorrow's just going to be a little review over that. Alright? Alright. Have a good day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.